Known as a serial passionpreneur influencer, she is dedicated to fostering entrepreneurship, advancing women's success, and creating meaningful connections through her Passionpreneur Club. Give Dr. Diana a hand as she comes and present today.
Thank you, Dr. Jimmy L. Morris, Jr. Praise God. And I am honored to be here and privileged to be here. And I want to give greetings to the North Highland Memorial Community Center, the Board of Directors, all of the members of North Highland, to all distinguished guests, Mayor Gillespie, Councilor Marcus Jackson, to family and friends, good evening. Amen. It is both a privilege and a profound honor to stand before you at this year's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship Dinner. Tonight, we come together not only to celebrate the enduring legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but to also recognize the remarkable women who worked tirelessly alongside him in the fight for civil rights. I recall when I first learned about Dr. King, I was just a little girl with the fresh silk-pressed, shining hair that was divided into 4 ponytails. They were twisted with a bow at the end. I believe I didn't even have my 2 front teeth. I was just sitting in the kindergarten classroom at Bear Elementary School in Montgomery with a skinny, blonde-haired white teacher by the name of Miss Mayfield. My class gathered around her for story time on the blue carpet, and she read us a story telling the class about a man who had a dream. And at the end of the story, we chanted, "Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King had a dream." You see, this lesson came in January 1986, at the time of the first Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal and nationwide observance. I remember telling Miss Mayfield that my birthday is January 15th, and she told me that I was born on the same day as Dr. King. Lord, why did she tell me that? I thought I was something. I thought I had a direct connection with Dr. King, and each year I would pay more attention to him and the stories of Dr. King. Throughout the years, I had to attend many Dr. King programs and was excited about the field trips we went. I remember vividly, while I was in 4th grade at Forest Avenue Academic Magnet School, we had to study Alabama history. My principal, a close friend and distant cousins to the Gray family, she spoke to my class about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Principal Maggie Stringer prepared us as we take our field trip to the house where Martin and his family lived while being the pastor at Dexter Avenue Memorial Baptist Church. It was that field trip that brought me closer to Martin. I knew that he was a real black man who had a difference and who made a difference in a city called Montgomery, Alabama. Montgomery, where the first White House of the Confederacy is. Montgomery, a city where the Alabama River meets the beautiful lands where the slaves were traded just to meet the high demand for slaves in Alabama. Today, we have parties, weddings, we stay at the hotels, we conduct the businesses, We eat at the restaurants and enjoy the nightlife with our favorite adult beverages. And we go to the concerts, to what is known as the amphitheater, all where the business of slave trading was conducted during the years of 1848 through 1860. But I must tell you tonight, I was a bit confused. I couldn't quite understand Montgomery's history. But now I am an educator, and I understand why I was confused. I made good grades in school, but I couldn't connect the dots. You see, it was the state of Alabama curriculum and textbooks that did not teach me all that I needed to know. Today, I still thank God for the teachers who made me to do those research projects with that old poster board. You remember those projects that you had to write your paper in cursive? You had to go to the magazines and find the pictures to put on your board with the headings, and then you would present to the class and enter it into the project fair. Because of that one assignment, I got to know Dr. King in a different way. I discovered the phases of the civil rights movement and the women who worked alongside him. So let's take a moment to reflect on some of those women. Help me to recall Fannie Lou Hamer, a pivotal leader in the civil rights movement, known for her courage, her eloquence, and her relentless advocacy for racial justice and voting rights. She was born into a family of sharecroppers in Montgomery County, Mississippi in 1917. But in 1964, Hamer co-founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, seeking to challenge the legitimacy of the all-white Mississippi delegation at the Democratic National Convention. Dr. King supported these efforts and joined other leaders in amplifying their demands for representation. He played a key role in advocating for their cause within the Democratic Party, helping bring national attendance and attention to their struggle for racial equality in politics. But we can't forget about Ella Baker. Do you remember her? She was a prominent and highly influential leader in the American civil rights movement, renowned for her dedication to grassroots organizing, community empowerment, and the belief in collective leadership. In 1957, Baker co-founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., serving as its first interim executive director. Now, while she was at the SCLC, Baker helped lay the foundation for the organization's mission of promoting nonviolence activism and community-led initiatives. However, she often challenged traditional hierarchies within the movement, advocating for grassroots participation over centralized, top-down leadership. Tonight, let's not forget Coretta. We can't forget Coretta Scott King, a name synonymous with grace, resilience, and vision. Not only was she the wife of Dr. King, but she was also a civil rights leader in her own right. Coretta worked tirelessly to advance the movement's goals, organize marches, giving speeches, and help organize the Montgomery bus boycott. After Martin's assassination in 1967, Coretta dedicated her life to preserving his legacy. She founded the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change in Atlanta, Georgia, a center for education, activism, and reflection of King's principles. Through the center, she ensured that Martin's vision of justice would inspire future generations. Now, if you will allow me to go back to those years in grade school, I had a field trip to Atlanta, Georgia. I think it was back in 1992, where we went to the Coca-Cola Museum and the Atlanta Planetarium, to Dr. King's house. But all the excitement came when I stepped into the Martin Luther King Jr. Center. The artifacts and the exhibits were so unforgettable. I was able to see King's sermons, his handwritten notes and speeches, including the iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. I saw his famous suit that he would wear, his Bible, and the many books that influenced his philosophy of nonviolence. I also saw the photographs, the flyers, the signs, and other materials during the protests and rallies. And at the end of the tour, I found good old Martin and Coretta Scott King as they laid there resting in the King Center, reflecting pool and tomb. Their remains are housed with a marble crypt surrounded by a serene reflecting pool. This memorial serves as a central feature of the King Center, symbolizing peace and reflection while honoring Dr. King's enduring legacy and his work for justice, equality, and nonviolence. It was at the King Center where I saw the light, and I understood the magnitude of the ongoing work that must be done. Tonight I stand before you, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you my understanding and familiarities of Dr. King. God did not allow me to meet Martin King face to face. I was not afforded the opportunity to go to any of the meetings with him. I wasn't able to march with him. I couldn't see Martin during the mass meetings or during his morning worship services at Dexter Avenue Memorial Baptist Church. But there is one thing that God allowed me. He allowed me to meet Dr. King in spirit in an unadulterated way. I did not have to depend on the limited books in the school library, nor in my parents' Britannica encyclopedias of my home library. It was at the King Center where I saw the light, and I understood the magnitude of the ongoing work that must be done. Now, I can't assume about you, but some of us in this room has been on the civil rights journey for a long time. You may have marched, you may have protested, you may have cried, sang, and surely I know you have prayed for a change to come. And although I have been a part of the journey for just a few years, I know that there is much work to be done. For we have someone who will become our president in less than 24 hours, who is an amorous narcissist, one who left the biggest deficit in U.S. history, one who undermines and weakens democracy, one who picks fights with U.S. allies and embraced the world's biggest dictators. The record shows that the appointed one appointed 3 conservative Supreme Court judges who played a crucial role in overturning Roe versus Wade, and that hate crimes increased by 28% during his first term as president. But I stopped by to tell you, my brothers and sisters, there is much work to be done, not just politically, but in our homes, our neighborhoods, our churches, and our community. Many of us have been on the battlefield, and we have gotten a little tired. But I encourage you tonight to hold on. I am reminded of Galatians 6 and 9. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. You see, it was 1992 when I met Martin for myself. But it was in 1998 when I rolled up my sleeves to make Dr. King's dream a reality. I decided to become an educated woman like Coretta, Ella, and Fannie Lou. I signed up to be a public school teacher to enhance the education system and to provide learning opportunity for our blacks and marginalized youth. I became a business owner to grow the economy and provide jobs for young music educators like me. And I joined the Sisterhood of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the National Council of Negro Women, where we advocate for social justice while serving all mankind. My question to you tonight: will you equip your community with the tools and the knowledge? Will you activate your voice and stand in the gap to empower those around you? I say to you, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream today. This will be the day when all God's children will be able to sing the new meaning, my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrims pied. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when we allow freedom to ring, we will let it ring from every city and every hamlet, from every state and every city. We will be able to speed up that day when all God's children, black men and white men, the Jews and the Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual: free at last, great God Almighty, we are free at last.